Blast me to Calmer's skull! It's time for the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey, issues 77 and 78, magazine coverage and gallery. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Mad Merlins Warhammer 40,000 Imperium Journey. So we're at a bumper issue yet again. It's 77 and 78, which is the Necron's Catacomb Command Barge, or Annihilation Barge if you so chose to build it. So, like I said, it's a bumper video. I've actually got one of these built and painted, ready for play. So there'll be a gallery after we go through the contents of the magazines. We'll have a look at the frames, of course, as well. But before all that, don't forget to, of course, like this video if you are enjoying the content. And why not subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as it's the only way you can keep up to date with all the mad content I'm bringing you. And also, why not check out all the links in the description down below. There's links to my social medias, eBay page, as well as the Mad Merlins Patreon. Right, we have a lot to cover because there's quite a bit of information in all these issues. So, we have our one miniature. Yes, one miniature on all this frame. But there is the option to make it two miniatures, if you so chose. But we'll have a look at that in a sec. So, issue 77, we learn all about the Eldari Harlequins. There's a new Warzone article, and the Adventures of the Rogue Trader continues as well. Plus, we have the build guide and the collect article for our Command Barge. Then in 78, we have a bumper paint guide for the Command Barge. We learn about Slaanesh demons. We have a brand new 6-page story all about Slaanesh demons, and we also deploy the Command Barge for battle with its data scroll as well. So let's dive into this magazine. First then, we'll take a look at the frames, and then we'll have a look at all the contents. So here we have it, 3 frames and 2 bases. So we will take a look at the big frame first. So our bases are a large flying stand with the short flying stems. So yeah, this is meant to hover pretty low to the ground. You could have it hovering higher if you want, if you've got spare stands from your tomb blades. But I much prefer it being low to the ground. It's a lot more menacing that way. And we have a 32mm base here. If you so chose to build the Annihilation Barge, you can build your Overlord separately on a 32mm base. Although Overlords are meant to be on 40mm bases, so he would really count as a regular Lord. But we don't have those in the collection, so we're going to skip ahead of that and get into the build, the frame. So yeah, part 1 here. Well, actually, part 1 was a single frame in 77. So you didn't get much. You could build the engines, start making up the base. But yeah, that's really about all you could do. There wasn't a lot you could build. The ammo for the gun and the Tesla cannon option. But yeah, wasn't a lot. We'll have a better look at that in a minute. So yeah, we'll start with the big frame. So we got the actual body here of the Catacomb Command Barge. We have the back and fronts of the torsos for the Necron pilots, the power orb center, the Tesla destructors here, which are for the Annihilation Barge. So you glue the 2 halves of the guns together, then you glue the 2 guns together at this component here. You then have this component here, which will glue on to these bits here and then glue into the inside of that. And then you have the batteries for the Tesla cannons, which glue into the slots on the top just there. So yeah, that's how you build that. And don't forget to not build this, but build the targeting sensor instead on the front of the prow there. Moving on though, we have all the arms for our pilots, arm for the Overlord, and an optional second arm holding a resurrection orb if you chose to put him on the foot. Or you could even have him holding the orb up and directing the barge forward with his staff. We have the torso, the back, the legs, and the head there for the Overlord himself. And yeah, we got his command dais components there. The control panels, if we flip over, for the pilots are here. So we've got this arm which will fit into that little socket there. So that he's controlling the command barge itself. Yeah, we got beautiful cloak here. There's also a spinal column which attaches to the back of the Overlord's cloak. And he has a neck joint as well, so be careful with that. You might want to glue that in first and then glue the two halves of the body together afterwards. So you have two head options for the pilots, one with a extra enhancing bionic eye and a... oh, that's off camera. A bionic eye there and a rather Death Mark looking head there, which is supposed to be for the gunner, I think. I don't know. It states in the build guide. I'll have a look in a minute. But yeah, you got the weapon attachment there that holds it onto the bottom of the command barge. Yeah, prow vanes. And like I said, this is the dais bit for the command bar, the Annihilation Barge. If you want to, you could build it all up anyway, and it's pretty easy to have it interchangeable between the two versions. As if you don't glue down the Overlord's dais, but glue the dais to the Overlord's hand, you can easily just remove that as a whole piece and then replace it with this as a whole piece. Or alternatively, you can use this and a little bit of your imagination with some scrap materials to make up a cool Necron looking gun emplacement. So there you go, options. Always good. So we'll have a look at the second frame then, or the third frame, should I say. So this is the main dais part where the Overlord and the gun stands. It is also the legs of the pilots, the seating area of the pilots, and the Overlord's war scythe as well, and the rear armor panels for the command barge, plus your engines and your ammo fuel batteries. Yeah, not a lot happening on this frame. Like I said, it's minimal, but really good. We'll have a look at the gallery after we've gone through the magazines. But yeah, really cool kit. Let's see how it goes together by looking through issue 77. So, starting off then with issue 77. Our full contents for this issue, I did say it is chock-a-block. We have the battle record for our command barge, of course. We have faction rule information about the Harlequins, Warzone, Obelisk, and Lyrak. The Last Laugh, a story featuring the Harlequins against Imperial Guard. A couple more Space Marine characters, Nigel Stormcaller and Lucas the Trickster for the Space Wolves. And our fold out is the Spoils of War, all about the Rogue Trader. Our build guide, and of course, issue 18, Veteran Mission 18. Let's start going through. So we got the command barge itself, which is a mobile command platform. The command barge allows a Necron Overlord to oversee the battle from a mobile vantage point and issue his orders accordingly. So yeah, Overlords love to make themselves look fancy, and what's fancier than riding around on a giant death platform? So we've got two crew that are hardwired into the platform itself, a gunner and a pilot itself for driving. The Overlord stands up with a war scythe. He also has a resurrection orb as part of his war gear, which we'll see in issue 78. So he can use the resurrection ability once per turn. And yeah, it's a really cool floating platform. You got a Gauss cannon there, but you also have the option to build up as a Tesla cannon. But yeah, pretty cool either way. So we have battle record, of course. It's only a D3 chart, even though it says D6 there. So the Overlord's name is Krasik, the Patient, although I am renaming him Krasik the Toeless. You'll see why when we get to the gallery. And his Command Barge is named Godbreaker. We'll see how breaking of gods it is when it goes up against Guilliman. Yeah, we've got little tick charts here for overseeing victories, destroying enemies in melee, and destroying enemies with your Gorz Destructor. Brand new piece of faction next then is all about the Eldari Harlequins. So another inquisitorial report here. Perhaps the least understood of the many Eldari factions, the Harlequins are capricious indeed, clad in vibrant bodysuits and wielding lethal close-range weapons. They move with quicksilver speed, emerging from the webway without warning to slay the unwary before disappearing once more. Yeah, another inquisitorial report by Inquisitor Gallius Shan of the Ordo Xenos. And yeah, it details all about the Harlequins. They are the actors and players within the Eldar race. They entertain both the Drukhari and the Eldari. They spend most of their time hidden away within the confines of the Webway and are guardians of the Black Library, which is the Eldari's secret knowledge repository. So yeah, they act out all the different events from the Eldar/Eldari history. So yeah, the exclusive units are the Solitaire, who is a solo warrior. We do see him in action in the story. He's a solo player, but is often pretty deadly. He will kill characters if they get too close. He's got some really nasty close combat weapons. And one of my favourites of the Eldar is the Death Jester. He carries a massive shuriken cannon, has a nice long coat, and a really cool grim skull face. Of course, all Eldar Harlequins have masks, as mask is both what they wear and a name for the individual sub-factions within it. So they are followers of Segarak, the Laughing God, who was the only god to escape the destruction brought by Slaanesh. They are hopefully awaiting his return from exile. And yeah, the Sadath is the performances that they do, detailing the fall of the Eldari, birth of Slaanesh, and the wars ever since. They even utilise their vehicles and jet bikes in their performances, and yeah, it's pretty much like a circus, really. Right, we're starting next then, a new war zone, so Obelisk and Lyrak. This, I believe, is over quite a few issues. There's Phase 1 in here, Phase 2 in another issue, and I believe there's Phase 3 in, I think, 81 or 82. Yeah, here we go, let's have a look. Some sectors of Imperial space are utterly pivotal in the survival of the Imperium. Forge World Metallica alone was responsible for producing arms for Imperial war efforts on hundreds of fronts. Thus, when the Obelisk and Lyrak subsectors came under attack, the response was swift. This details then the assault on Obelisk and Lyrak by the Death Guard, and the intervention of their forces by Forge World Metallica and various other Imperial elements. There are, of course, ever orc gangs in the area, as well as Drukhari pirates. There's other Chaos fleets as well that aid the Death Guard, and Typhus, who's the leader of the overall Chaos forces. And yeah, there's the Lyrak subsector. So a little bit here about Typhus and the Destroyer Hive, and his attempt to do a tri-prong offensive. Moving on then, we have The Last Laugh, a cool short story featuring the Eldari Harlequins and a group of Imperial Guard. In the shadows of the war world Mordafia's towering bastions, Commissar Grak struggles to maintain discipline and order in the face of a vicious Xenos invasion. So yeah, he's leading a group of Imperial Guard, Mordafian 2nd Regiment in particular, and he's trying to pull back the forces, but they are getting hounded from all sides by Eldari, Harlequins, Ghost Warriors, and even Samhan's jet bikes. So yeah, not going well. Pretty cool story, details a lot about how the Harlequins work, shows them killing a few of the guardsmen, and yeah, it's really good, really gruesome, really good read. Hope you guys enjoy it. Yeah, definitely worth a good read through. So, moving on then, we have Nigel Stormcaller, the High Rune Priest. Najal Stormcaller can command the elements, utilizing his warp powers to obliterate his foes with lightning or cast them aside with howling winds. Known to his kin as the Storm that walks, Najal Stormcaller is a battle psyker with a deep understanding and mastery of the warp. Where he fights, there does the Tempest rage fiercest. So yeah, Najal is the High Rune Priest, or Chief Librarian, if you will, of the Space Wars chapter. He wanders mostly in hulking Terminator armor and is noted as being the only Terminator to use a bolt pistol. He has a cool little cyber raven that accompanies him and allows him to see the battlefield. His raven is called Nightwing, if anyone's interested. But yeah, Space Wolves prefer not to consider themselves warp manipulators. They see it as using the elements of Fenris, and where they go, Fenris will often follow, they say. Another Space Wolf character then is Lucas the Trickster, the Jackal Wolf. Lucas the Trickster is known by many titles, few of them complimentary. His deeds are representative of the wild recklessness of youth, yet many of them have been heroic indeed. So Lucas is a young Bloodclaw who is an initiate sort of level of the Space Wolves. Yeah, many times he's a trickster, basically. He's very sort of based on Loki. He likes to make practical jokes and quick-witted remarks. This is often turned against him, and his jokes will often come up to bite him in the face. He even got caught by Drukhari pirates, and despite surviving, he has lost one of his hearts. He has, of course, replaced his heart with a vortex grenade. So if he ever does die, the bomb will go off and capture anyone in radius in a stasis field. So yeah, we have a little bit about Bloodclaws here as well. So unlike other Space Marine chapters, the Space Wolves initiates do not go into scouts. They instead begin the service as Bloodclaws. So yeah, these are hotheads, young shock assault troops. Right, all we've got left before I fold out is, of course, the build guide. So it does recommend that you build this into sub-assemblies: the front prow, the two pilots, the dais, and of course the Overlord, and then the main command barge itself. I did it in, so that's 5. I did it in 6 sub-assemblies. I left the underneath gun off as well. But yeah. Mentions to use glue tack or adhesive putty to cover up contact areas where you'll eventually glue them down after painting. So sub-assembly 1 is building up the pilots, including and their seating area, which attaches to the base of the command barge. Then we're building up the actual command barge platform itself, finishing off the pilot and gunner with the heads, building the engines and the prow, which then slot into place. So you don't glue your prow just yet, and don't glue your pilots into their seats just yet. Build the top part of the dais with the power core there as well, which holds everything in place. Next up, we glue the arms on to our pilots and crew, and it even has an overview picture of where they should be placed, so you can place them in the correct positions. Next up then, we build the underslung gun, and like I said, I left this as a separate sub-assembly, and you can easily glue it in, or it will just hold in via friction after the paint's been applied. Next, we're building the spine of the command barge. And as it shows here, we got the positions where the gun goes, these two little holes, building the reverse vanes, or the rear armor. These are incorrect. So 37 actually goes on this side because it has a slight slant, and if you put 37 on this side, it will be slanting outwards, not inwards. So that needs to go over this side, and 54 needs to go over onto this side. But 33, 57, 63, and 28 are all identical. Well, they have 33 and 57 have a smaller square peg, whereas 63 and 28 have a larger square slot. So they can go on either side, really. Just be careful and dry fit as best you can. Yeah, then we glue on the armor panels, which glue into 3 little slots there, as well as on top of the dais just there. And you can see a side view there just to see that you make sure you've got it all in the correct position. Moving on to sub-assembly 4 then, we're building the Overlord. I did plan to leave him separate from his legs, so I could paint all the detail inside the cloak. Sadly, glue spilt while he was drying, and it fused his legs together at a slight odd angle. So I'm going to have to... He's been built and painted just as is. But yeah, then you build your dais stand here. If you so chose, you could glue his hand to the dais and leave it separate from the body. Just put a bit of BlueStack inside there. That way you can just glue the arm into the body afterwards. It might be a little easier for you. But yeah, definitely do leave these separate, as it's going to be tricky to reach all the details otherwise. And then finally, it shows you pushing it down into place. So don't glue it yet. Wait till you finish painting it, and then you can glue it down afterwards. So yeah, the final sub-assemblies all go together as seen here. So we got a mission, which we will look at in 77 part 2. But for now, we have a fold-out. So this is the battle in the Artist system, the Spoils of War. So there's details. Our captain, Sonara von Hart, as she aids a Raven Guard task force and Imperial Guard against traitorous forces of chaos and cultists. So yeah, really nice detailing, a lot more about how rogue traders operate and what they will get out of events such as this. In this case, there was a major void battle, and so they managed to collect some cool salvageable materials from that said battle. Whew. Moving on then, let's take a look at issue 78. So I don't think there's too much in here because most of it's took up by the paint guide. So yeah, we only have 2 bits of information. Chaos Demon Slanesh, and a story called The Crystal Heart. Got the paint guide, the data sheet, and of course, Veteran Mission 19. So another inquisitorial report here by Rodrigo Pike of the Ordo Malleus. And this focuses on the Demons of Slanesh. So we've done Khorne, we've done Nurgle, we're now looking at Slanesh. So yeah, the Demons of Slanesh are life and feminine in appearance, but have many aspects of both male and female. They dance and cavort through battle. Most of them, while horrific, have the ability to cause people to see them as beautiful siren-like creatures until their crab claws rip through their limbs. Some of the greatest demons are known as heralds. So here we see a herald and a specific type of herald here, which is a infernal enraptress who has plucked the nervous strings of a poor soul out of his body and turned it into a harp. And she plays this, inflicting pain to the person and basically enrapturing her followers. So we also have Shalaxi Hellbane, who is a named greater demon, So the greater demons are called Keeper of Secrets. And yeah, she has a great hatred for Scarbrand and will often fight against Khorne and his minions. And the most numerous of all the Slaaneshi demons are the Demonettes. So yeah, very grotesque looking creatures, unless of course they have power over you and you see them as your dream girl. Very, very gruesome. Pretty cool. Moving on then, we have a awesome story. So this is the Crystal Heart, featuring an inquisitorial warband, a Slaaneshi cult, and there's some secrets that will be coming in a later issue. So on the mining world of Celeria, a newly opened crystal mine has gone silent amidst rumours of heresy. At the behest of the Order Hereticus, an Inquisitor has been dispatched alongside a retinue of agents. Their orders to delve beneath the planet's surface and uncover the truth. Leading this force is, of course, an Inquisitor. So the Inquisitor Kuro Kanawa leads the force. He has a unit of stormtroopers with him, led by Colonel Vikram and the Tempesta Scions. And he also has an acolyte known as Acolyte Amatos, and she is learning the ways of becoming an Inquisitor herself. So the Celeria system is a system that has a great wealth of crystals and is often a great importance. It's a mining system that helps gain the crystals that are used in lasguns. But yeah, the story goes on detailing that they go deeper and deeper into the mine, and then they eventually trigger a trap and unleash all chaos hell, basically. Sadly, not a lot of the guys make it. The Inquisitor and the Acolyte are, at the end of the story, trapped in an elevator which slowly descends further and further into the depths. And that is where the story ends for now. Like I said, this is continued in, I think, 81 or 82. Right, moving on, how to paint the Command Barge. So, paint pretty much the entire Command Barge, including the command panel and the prow, in lead belcher, 3 coats, don't forget. Paint the crew and the Overlord in Runelord brass, and then pick out the armor panels with Abaddon black, including the front of the prow here as well, and the recessed areas and the joints in the Necron crew and the Overlord. Next, we're picking out some of the smaller details with Runelord brass, so the prow plates and the attachments for vanes at the back and on the command panel. Then we're painting lead belcher to the workings of the crew and the Overlord before we apply a shade over all the lead belcher details with Nuln Oil. And we're also painting, don't forget to paint the Overlord's cloak in silver as well. We're applying Cryptic Armor Shade Gloss to certain areas that have been painted with Runelord brass, just to give it that nice Necron shine. And then we are picking out, of course, details with Stormhost Silver. So we've got lots of details to edge highlight with Stormhost Silver. Just take your time, work your way around the model, allowing each area to dry before progressing. So yeah, there is lots and lots of details to pick out with Stormhost Silver. After that, highlight your black areas with Administratum Grey. So we're not doing Dawnstone, we're going straight to do Administratum Grey here, so a nice bright highlight. Then we're picking out Corax White on all of the bits, details of the engine, the orbs, command console, pipes, and of course details on the Overlord, including his face here, and all his orbs and his staff. Then of course, after that, we're going into Tesseract Glow, and finally a highlight of White Scar just to help emphasize that glow. And edge highlighting the face of the Overlord with White Scar as well, just to help it pop out. Again, we've got the energy effect paint guide for the scythe. Lost my words there. It doesn't look as bad as the previous ones. I think they've blended the colours a little better, but I still much prefer doing it with Warpstone Glow if you have it, and Caliban Green is for the darker areas. Yeah, much better. I'll show you mine in a bit. And there we have it. Just make sure you go over your model, check you've got everything. You don't need to glue the prow, it should just push on with the thickness of the paint. Same for the gun if you've left that separate. And yeah, just scrape off a little bit of area for the Overlord's hand to glue on. Glue the Command Barge itself down into the actual dais, and then glue your, oh, you don't use glue, you can easily just push in the crew into place before you attach the prow. Whew, right. We will look at the rules and, of course, the mission in issue 78's Battle Report. So, for now, we're going to take a look at the finished Command Barge, and yeah, that'll be it. So yeah, here we have the finished Overlord on Command Barge. So yeah, I've painted it in my Saltec colour scheme, and I've even put on a few transfers on the old Necron transfer sheet. Sadly, they went a little wonky, and started to break up as I tried to move them around, so I left them as is. So yeah, you can see the Overlord, he does have a slight lean to one side thanks to how the glue dried. But he does look pretty cool, and when he comes around again, you can have a look at his right foot, and you'll get where he has the moniker of Toeless from. He had a little bit of an accident with the base he was glued to, where his toes sadly got severed. So yeah, he's lost the toes on his right foot, poor bloke. So I suppose that's why he flies around on this, because he can't walk very well. But yeah, I've varnished it, based it in my usual basing scheme, and I've done, like I said, a really good paint job on it. I think it helps pop out and stand out on the battlefield a lot better. I'm looking forward to fielding this guy in battle, and yeah, it's going to be pretty awesome having two Overlords running around the board if you have, of course, two, which we do now in the collection. So yeah, one with a War Scythe and one with a Void Scythe, so they are a little bit different equipment-wise, but otherwise their rules near the same. You do have, of course, the fact that he's on the giant dais, which adds to his wounds and his toughness and his movement as well. Plus you got some extra guns. Yeah, there we have it. So that was the review for issues 77 and 78, which brings us near enough to the end of our collection. So, yeah, what do we have left to look forward to? Well, I'll tell you what. All we have left is Rabute Guilliman. So 79 and 80 is parts 1 and 2 of Rabute Guilliman, the Primarch of the Ultramarines. And I'll leave you there with the Command Barge. And yeah, that is it for this video. Thank you all for watching. It's been quite a long one, but we have had a lot to go through. So I'd like to take this moment to thank you all for watching. Be sure to, of course, like, share, comment, and subscribe. How have you got on with your Command Barge? Let me know in the comments down below. And I will see you next time on the Imperium Journey. This is Merlin saying thank you for watching and goodbye.